Okay, we're back, and today I'm going to actually do some corrections on the two little plein airs that I did in the previous videos. This is the first one I did without the snow, and this is the second one I did with the snow. I'm going to basically work on the first one with the snow, without the snow, and what I'm going to do is, I'm not happy with the value contrast, the light and dark contrast, so I'm going to put more light blues in the sky and vary the ground with some lighter colors and fix that cast shadow to start off with. So again, I'm using my limited palette. I'm going to go in with some ultramarine blue and some white. Mix a nice bright light blue. And we're going to go in and we're going to touch up the sky. Sky is too dark. I mixed the pre-mixed blue that I initially had was way too dark, and I'm just gonna actually add some of this. I'm gonna leave some of the darks in there. I'm not taking them all out, and I want this cast shadow to be a little more blue and a little more confined. I'm gonna darken it in a second. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I don't like this mountain range. It's I'm going to take another brush, and these are the 4 and 6 Richardson brushes that I've been using, and I'm going to go in and put some lights in the ground cover here, and to do that basically going to go in and I'm going to mix some white. I'm going to take a touch of alizarin, just a touch. Actually, I'm going to go correct the sky first. Skies in the morning are usually, towards the horizon, are usually much brighter. So I'm going to actually go in here and fix that mountain range a little bit, make it a little bit smaller, and make it a little harder edged, a little more well defined. Okay, and now I'm going to clean my brushes off a little bit, and I think I'm going to put some more white in for the clouds. Again, I'm trying to brighten the sky up a little bit, particularly towards the horizon, where it's definitely going to be whiter. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to go in and basically clean a brush off. I'm going to use the brush that I'm using with my light colors, and I'm going to go in there, clean the brush off a little bit. I'm not just wiping it off with a paper towel. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to take some white, some yellow ochre. I take a little bit of alizarin, more yellow ochre. So this is more of a clay color. Put more white in there. So I'm going to lighten that foreground up a little bit. I'm just varying, and I'm leaving some of the darks in. I think that's a better painting now. And now I'm going to just go in with some yellow ochre and put some shrubbery in. And I'm going to take my paper towel and just do what I do with the Q-tip. This is another trick to give some structure to some of this shrubbery. And I'm taking some of this color out. And now that cast shadow has to be darker, so I'm going to go in and really darken that. Again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually use another brush. And this is a round. It's a number 3 round Richardson. Again, I'm going to go into my really pre-mixed dark, which is basically it's basically burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And I'm going to put some more darks in some of these trees. And I'm going to darken this cast shadow somewhat. I'm using the complement over the blue, which is the burnt sienna, which is an orange. And again, I'm going to put a little more structure in here for the ground cover. I think that's better. Put a little more detail into some of these mountain ranges, make them a little softer. And I'm going to go in with, again, some of my pre-mixed ground color, which was essentially alizarin crimson and white, but I'm going to put some yellow ochre in it. And again, I'm really not just working on this foreground and make it a little more interesting. And I think that's a better painting. I could go in, I'm going to use the end of the brush. I'm going to scratch what basically looks like grasses. And I'll probably maybe do a little detail on this later on. Okay, so now I would call this one semi-done. And we will go in and now work on the other one, the landscape with the snow. And this one I'm pretty happy with. Again, I want to go in and lighten that sky up a little bit with ultramarine blue that I mixed. So I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Although it was pretty light to start with, I want to put a little more color in it. I'll leave some of the original paint still there. I want to put a little more blue into the cast shadow, which is on the snow. And that one I'm not going to dull down too much. It is actually that blue. Mountain range I want to clean up a little bit. I'm going to go into my pre-mixed purple and just get a little more definition. Now I also want to go into my pre-mixed dark color. I've kind of lost this. Put a few more darks in these trees. I pretty much lost this one over here. And I want to go in with my light mixture, my light brush, and touch up the snow. I'm going to go in and just put some more, make a few, make it a little more see, this one really needs much less work because the value of contrast is much better than in the other one. So that is the difference between the lights and the darks. And I'm just going to indicate what looks like grasses back there that are covered with snow. And I'll go back in, dip into my yellow ochre, and again indicate some grasses, reestablish some of these grasses in the foreground, and make them much lighter as they go back and duller. And pretty much I'd say I'm going to go back into my pre-mixed green, just establish some of the dark greens. Again, it gets darker towards the bottom where the cast shadow is. And I guess I'm going to call it quits at that, and I'll probably go back and do a little more detail on the grasses.